I think it's fair to say Real Madrid are in a bit of a crisis. So far this season, arguably the biggest club in the world have lost 3 of their opening 9 games, scoring just 13 goals. But what has happened? Why have they failed to replace Ronaldo? Why was Julen Lopetegui signed the day before the start of the World Cup? And where do they all go from here? Well, I've done some digging, and today I'm going to present to you just how Real Madrid can turn it around. First off, we'll go towards management, and to be honest, I'm going to give Lopetegui a bit of credit before I start slating him completely. Let's look at how easy it is to manage Real Madrid. The simple answer, it's definitely not. Take Jose Mourinho for example. Within 3 seasons at the Bernabeu, he brought them 1 league title and 1 Copa del Rey, and let's be honest, he didn't exactly have the best relationship with some of his biggest players, with the board, and even with the fans. But outside of Real Madrid, he's one of the game's most successful managers of all time, so things don't really add up there. Take Manuel Pellegrini as well. He failed completely in his one and only year at Real Madrid, but a few seasons later was lifting the Premier League crown aloft, having led Man City to the title. The same thing can go for Rafa Benitez, who was only given 25 games in charge, but as we've all seen with Liverpool, Valencia, and even a shoestring budgeted Newcastle, the guy can work wonders with just about anybody. So what is it about managing Real Madrid? Well, to be honest, I haven't quite figured that out myself, because when you take all the experience of these managers together and put them next to Zinedine Zidane, nothing compares to what the Frenchman has done at the club. But Real Madrid is Zidane's one and only managerial post to date, if you take away Real Madrid reserves. So on the experience front, things don't make sense there either. As to what makes a successful Real Madrid manager, well, it seems like taming the egos is probably the best part, and having the dressing room on your side is more than anything an important factor in it, something which unfortunately Lopetegui doesn't seem to have. So why was he brought in the first place? Well, if reports are to be believed, he was by far from Florentino Perez's first choice. For one reason or another, he couldn't get the guys he wanted to get in. There was Pochettino at Spurs, Allegri at Juve, there was even Julian Nagelsmann at Hoffenheim, who said that he was going to stay for 1 more year before then moving to Leipzig next summer. So what did Lopetegui have going for him? Well, to be honest, he was kind of a name that was well known within the Spanish footballing setup, and that's about it. He set Rayo on the way to relegation back in 2003, worked with the Spanish youth teams, went to Porto and failed to bring a single trophy to Portugal's biggest club with the biggest budget in 18 months. He then became manager of Spain and did what any Spanish manager should do, which is take them to the World Cup through a quite easy qualification process. He then decided to join Real Madrid and got fired the day before the World Cup started. That's straight up ridiculous in itself. But then after moving to Real Madrid, he's had a pretty poor start, and to be honest, looking at his CV, I don't exactly see how it's come as much of a surprise. Let's be honest, looking back at former clubs, it is difficult to replace such a successful manager. For example, when Sir Alex Ferguson retired, United got it completely wrong and have been repairing the pieces ever since. As with Arsenal, well, things are looking a little bit better. After Arsene Wenger was in charge for 22 years, you would have thought that no one even knew how to hire a new manager. But Unai Emery's made a pretty good start at the Emirates, so things are looking up for them. As for Florentino Perez, well, if he decides to get rid of Lopetegui altogether, who can he bring in? But moving away from management to all the blame that is placed in the dugout to on the pitch, where there's a massive elephant in the room, so let's talk about it. Cristiano Ronaldo left and they didn't replace him with anybody. What have they lost in Cristiano? Well, it's simple. They've lost their greatest goal scorer of all time, someone who can literally drag them to Champions League titles, a massive role model for everyone in the club, and someone who got on really well with most of the team. For example, the likes of Marcelo, Sergio Ramos and Benzema have pretty much lost their best friend as well, and that definitely helps when it comes to playing on the pitch. For example, Marcelo even wants to leave now just to join Ronaldo at Juventus. That's how much of a damaging effect his departure had at the club. Aside from what Ronaldo can bring in himself, his departure is also being felt when it comes to the opposition, something which was talked about from Levante's goalkeeper a few weeks ago. He basically said that because Ronaldo's not there anymore, they don't fear Real Madrid as much. They don't leave as many defenders back, and the constant threat of having Ronaldo pull something out of the bag isn't looming over them, so they can push more men forwards. This is probably why so many teams are going out and attacking Real Madrid, and to be honest, they were papering over the cracks with some poor defensive displays, and Rafael Varane definitely hasn't been the same guy since returning from the World Cup. As for the team morale thing, well, I've already mentioned he had good relationships with most of the team, but a few players don't seem so keen on him. Well, the likes of Isco, Kroos and Bale have said they play more like a team now and won't be looking on the past and the fact that Ronaldo decided to leave them. To be honest, that's absolute rubbish. You may play as more of a team, but you're not winning as much and you're not scoring as much, so there can only be one answer. But What do you guys think? I'm interested to see how many think they play better off with or without Ronaldo. Surely there's only one answer, but let me know in a poll right up here whether you think Real Madrid are better off without Ronaldo or they desperately need him back. As for the players who could step up to replace Ronaldo, well, there's two sides to this story. Firstly, you need to bring some more players in regardless of who you've already got in the squad. There could be one or two ways of doing this. Either you do what Spurs did after they lost Gareth Bale, spend all the money on 7 players, which completely fails. So don't do that. I can understand why Real Madrid didn't sign loads of players, but on the other hand, maybe keep 1 or 2 additions into the squad. Look at what happened when Liverpool lost Suarez to Barcelona, or even Coutinho to Barcelona. They brought in a few players to shore up the places they weren't so sure of and the cracks that were papered over by having such a fantastic player. For example, Coutinho would drag Liverpool out of games and cover up the fact that their defence were making mistakes. They didn't directly replace him, they brought in Van Dijk to paper over the cracks, and moving forwards they managed to alter their formation ever so slightly. Now the front three are absolutely flying and they're a bit more solid in midfield, with Fabinho joining in the summer as well. So who can Real Madrid buy to replace them? Well, there's been so much speculation in the last few weeks. Is Eden Hazard going to join? Is Neymar going to do the unthinkable and join his former rivals? Is Mbappe going to join? Is Harry Kane going to come for about 200 million? Robert Lewandowski was also linked with Real Madrid. At this point, anybody. There's got to be somebody they can sign to replace the goals. Replacing the creativity would be another case if it wasn't for the fact that Benzema still wouldn't be able to put away as many goals as Real Madrid would have hoped. Signing someone like Eden Hazard would be amazing. You can't put all of the goals on him, but if he creates the chances and they're not finished, you've still got the same problem. As for Gareth Bale, he could step up, but we all know about his injury worries and he won't be able to play a full season. Marco Asensio isn't living up to the bill, and to be honest, things are looking pretty dead for Real Madrid at the moment. So finally, well, I'm thinking sack the manager and bring in some new players. It may sound like a FIFA football manager kind of thing to do, but getting rid of Lopotegui and bringing some world-class guys, much like Hazard or Lewandowski, could do Real Madrid the world of good. If you look back to all those years ago when they were in similar dire straits in 2001, they ended up winning the title at the end of the year by a comfortable 7 points. So who's to say whether or not the season is dead just yet for Real Madrid? As for you guys, well, let me know in the comment section below what you think of Real Madrid and how they can solve all their problems. Whilst you're down there, don't forget to smash the like button and click here to check out all the other videos we've got going on Onefootball. But until next time, I'll see you guys later. Woo! That was a lot of talking. Real Madrid need to get their shit together.